I'm here today with Emily Simpson, who's social media specialist at Monterey Bay Aquarium. Hi, Emily. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. So, can you tell us, for anybody who isn't completely aware of Monterey Bay Aquarium, tell us about MBA and also your role there?
So, the Monterey Bay Aquarium is a nonprofit aquarium located on the central coast of California, about 2 hours south of San Francisco, with a mission to inspire conservation of the ocean. My role in that mission is as a social media specialist. I help to manage all of our social media channels from the usual Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all the way on out to our Twitch channel, TikTok, you name it, and it's a social media channel. We're probably on it.
Cool. And can you tell us, particularly, you've been doing some really interesting stuff with Animal Crossing live streams on Twitch. So, can you tell us what you've been doing and how the idea came about to stream a game and why you chose Animal Crossing and Twitch?
That's a wonderful question and something that I'm really excited about. It was a brainchild of mine for a very long time before even quarantine started. So just a bit of background about myself. I'm a big old nerd. That is the best way to describe me, whether it is science or whether it is video games, Dungeons and Dragons, you name it. I absolutely adore it. Science fiction. It's all in my wheelhouse. And one of the things that I picked up on as, you know, in my own personal life is just how often the ocean is represented in video games, whether it's a very calm, kind of soothing game, just exploring the ocean, diving simulators. But the ocean is everywhere out there in video game culture, some representations better than others. But when I joined the aquarium social media team, I've been working at the aquarium for almost 8 years now. I've been on the social media team for about 2.5 years. Um, we were trying to figure out ways to kind of broaden our audience and especially target the younger audience. We do really well on Facebook, and Facebook demographics tend to be your 40 to 60-year-olds now, even though it started off as a college social
Yeah.
media platform. That's where my mom's hanging out nowadays. So it's definitely a different audience on there, mostly 40 to 60-year-old women on Facebook. Twitter, of course, is where you find a lot of your millennials. Um, Instagram is just all across the board there, but Twitch happens to be this very, very specific platform for video game streaming. There are other streams on there of artists and musicians doing their thing and live streaming themselves as they're writing new songs, recording songs, doing art. But there's really no educational Twitch streams. And it's a very, very young and very, very diverse audience, and it's a very engaged audience. This is a platform where 80% of the people using it are between the ages of 16 and 34. So it's this really, really young audience on Twitch. And we wanted to see if there was a way that we could be on Twitch, but meet these followers on Twitch where they were. And that's kind of how we found success across all of our social media platforms is meet these people where they are and they'll be engaged. And so to do that, we had to play a video game. The idea was kind of thrown around for a while, but it never quite stuck. We never quite had the time or the equipment, the tools to be able to stream a video game. When we were working at the aquarium, we were working on a lot of other live streams. So we started our Twitch channel and we were kind of just mimicking the live streams that we were doing for other platforms like Periscope and Facebook Live on Twitch. And we had a small followership. We had about 150 people or so before quarantine that followed us on Twitch and watched us stream live in the aquarium. And we put our live cams up on our Twitch page. But we weren't getting the engagement that we wanted. And then quarantine hit, and very suddenly we were all stuck at home, and very suddenly the world was hit with this video game that just went wild. Animal Crossing is the number one selling title for Nintendo and across any video game platform of the year. It's one of the top selling video games of all time, which is pretty shocking when you consider the popularity of games like League of Legends and Fortnite and all these huge names. And then here comes Animal Crossing, this delightfully peaceful and wholesome and just wonderful video game that just took the world by storm. And I, being a nerd, bought it for myself. And as soon as I started playing it, just the light bulb went on that this was our chance. This is the game for us, because when you play the game, it's a natural history simulator. It really is. You're going out and you're collecting animals to build a museum and an aquarium and an insectarium to showcase the amazing wildlife of this island that you live on. And what better opportunity for an aquarium who no longer has an aquarium to show off on social media because we can't physically go in there, than to all of a sudden have and build a virtual aquarium in this space. So with a little bit of persuading, we took a chance and we started streaming it and haven't looked back since.
Wow. So can you show us some of your streaming then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me share my screen here. I've got our Twitch channel up right now on this desktop. Let's see if my Zoom skills are still there. Can you see that screen right now?
Yeah, I certainly can. And those sea
Yes.
otters? Are
They are. We have our sea otter cam streaming right now. So that's looks like Selka swimming down there at the bottom of the screen at the moment. So we can pop back in and, of course, check on the ever adorable sea otters.
Oh, they are so cute, aren't they? They're so cute.
They are. You can't go wrong with sea otters. They definitely help the social media channels anytime we have them on there. But this is our Twitch channel. At the top, we is always playing the stream that we have going at the time. People can tune in and watch. Right now, 33 people are watching our sea otters on Twitch at the moment. But on here, we have a lot of different streams, but mainly this is where we are streaming those video game streams. So we have about 30 episodes of us playing video games live on Twitch, all put together in a convenient playlist for everyone to check back in and watch. But it can be, anything from us. Just a couple of days ago, we were playing over there and going diving in the ocean. You can see there in the middle is my colleague Patrick holding a flapjack octopus, which who in their right mind puts a flapjack octopus in a video game? It's amazing that the game designers put this level of detail in there. There's even a vampire squid that you can catch here in the game, and at nighttime, if you turn off the lights, it bioluminesces.
Wow.
Which, how can you not talk about that? How can you be a marine scientist playing this game and not want to, shout it out at the top of a mountain saying, like, have you seen the bioluminescence in Animal Crossing? But this is what we do. So over on the left side is our colleague Rachel. She works part-time with our social media team and part-time with our email marketing team. And this was her first stream with us, and she joined us to swim around, go diving and fishing in the game for some of the new animals in Animal Crossing. And in the middle is my colleague Patrick, who's been working on the social media team for, I think it's close to 5 years now, and then myself. But we go around, we look for animals, and then we talk about them with our audience. You can see over on the very far right side is the chat So this is the live chat for when we streamed the game here on Twitch. We have a pun counter that we use. So it's always in our voice when we're talking about the ocean in these games. But we're also just three very nerdy humans, and we have backgrounds in marine science. And when we're in this game, we're using those backgrounds to tell people more information. If people have a question that they put in the chat, we do our best to answer all of those questions. Sometimes we are streaming both here on Twitch and on YouTube, and so it's part of our job to kind of look at both of those chats and both physically and vocally respond to them, but also if there's a question that we don't get to, then to be answering them in the chat as the aquarium, and try and just talk about how cool the ocean is online. And we find that there is a really, really engaged audience. You can see over on the far side, we had a question, how are algae different from slime molds? Who asks that? But it's because of this really, really engaged audience that we have. And it can be anywhere from, very, young teenagers, kids still in high school who are curious about marine science, all the way on up to, we've had PhD students who will tune in to our streams and tell us about the research that they're doing. So it's an incredibly diverse audience there, and an incredibly engaged audience that we have.
That's fantastic, isn't it? And like you said, the range of animals and the detail on it is incredible. Has that been the way since the start of it, or has that been added to?
It's something that it's been there, but they're constantly adding to the game. And every month there are new animals that you can find on the island. So there's always more content and more animals for us to talk about. The diving feature was just added a few months ago to the game. And so before we were just fishing for animals to collect and put into our museum, but now we can actually go diving in the game and look for animals. And so it just opened up this whole new world because when we're fishing, we're catching kind of the charismatic animals that everybody kind of is familiar with. But when you go diving, you get to talk about things like a spiny lobster. They have nudibranchs in here. They have a sponge that a shrimp lives inside of, and who it's just fascinating the number and the diversity of animals that they've really put the care into to put in the game. Of course, they don't always get everything right, and that's something that we talk about as well. When animals are put into the aquarium section of your island museum, sometimes they don't put them in quite the correct habitat that you would normally find them in. And so it just opens up a new opportunity to interpret and to do what we would be doing at the aquarium, which is interpreting our live exhibits, but it just happens to be virtual.
And it's quite, just looking at the chat as well, I mean, it's like you say, it is engaged, isn't it? A lot of kind of some natural history questions and stuff about the animals as well. But I guess it's quite, how do you find getting the tone of the chat right? Is that it's quite difficult, isn't it? Because you're just speaking to quite young people, I guess, and it's quite responsibility, I think, isn't it?
It is a responsibility, and we're very fortunate. We have 3 moderators that help us kind of make sure that the chat isn't saying anything inappropriate online, or if there are questions that we miss that come up multiple times, they can shoot us a message so that we make sure that we answer that question for people online. But one thing that we've noticed is that by being humans online, and to have a really human element to your voice online, even though we are representing a brand, and we're very aware that we are representing a brand when we are online and being goofy like we are in Animal Crossing, but by being a human online and by treating our audience with respect and kindness, 99.9% of the time, they are going to echo that and treat us with respect and kindness too. So, we have close to 10,000 followers on Twitch now. And I it would take a very, very long time for me to think of the last time that someone wasn't respectful in chat, whether it was to us or to someone else that's in the chat there too. It's a very inclusive and welcoming community, and you tend to find that across the board on Twitch. Of course, there are niches on Twitch for other communities that might not be as respectful, but we've really worked hard to make sure that when people come to our channel, they know that this is an inclusive environment and that we are always going to be in the chat, looking at the chat, and making sure that the people who are curious about something have those questions answered. And it reflects what we do across all of our social media channels. If someone sends us a direct message, if someone comments on a post, we are always there and we are always answering those questions. And even if it's just a simple thank you, we're always making sure that we're liking those comments so that people feel seen, they feel recognized, and they feel appreciated. There are so many large social media accounts out there that just post something and then they walk away from that post. But as a social media manager, we know that even though there are hours, sometimes days, weeks, months put into creating a specific piece of content for the internet, even though we've put in those months beforehand, the moment that that piece of content hits the internet, that's not the end of the life of this piece of content. It's the beginning of the life of this piece of content. And it's the beginning of the life of the piece of content because it's the start for our followers to engage with that piece of content there. And so that goes with these streams, that goes with even just a photo of a sea otter that we put out on the internet, that we're in there and we're answering those questions, that we're responding to those DMs. And that goes for our chat here too. They get really enthusiastic and one of the highlights of being on this channel is now we're an affiliate, and so people can subscribe to our channel and they get more benefits from helping to support the aquarium that way. And one of those benefits is that I get to create little emoticons that they can use in the chat, and oftentimes they're inside jokes from watching the games or just silly things. Like we have a puns emote because Patrick and I and Rachel as well tend to use a lot of puns and that's part of the aquarium voice, and I love that it's built into the aquarium's voice. But we just have this wonderful community, and they just want to be silly and goofy and engaged and nerdy with us, and I love it.
That's fantastic. And you've also worked with other organizations, haven't you, like the Smithsonian and at the Field Museum as well?
Yes, we've worked with the Smithsonian, the Field Museum, we've worked with the Getty Museum, we've worked with the Tennessee Aquarium. We've been really, really fortunate to have a really wide range of guests across the country who have joined us here on our Twitch channel, and sometimes we'll take those streams and then upload them to YouTube for more people to watch. So for example, this is when we had Emily Grassley from the Field Museum online and on our stream with us. People might know her from her YouTube series, The Brain Scoop, which the Field Museum produces. But she is another one of those wonderfully nerdy human beings who knows a ton about fossils. I have a background in ecology and evolutionary biology, so she and I spent the entire 2 hours in the section of the museum that has fossils in it, and just talked about fossils until the cows came home. And so it was so delightful to have her on, and she actually has joined us twice on our Animal Crossing streams now. It's been such a fun time running around with these experts. and talking about the things that they get passionate about as well. So Emily actually plays Animal Crossing. So you can invite people to come onto your island and explore your island with you, or you can go and visit islands yourself. So she came over to my island and ran around exploring the museum with us, and talked about all the different fossils in there. She came back again, and we actually went to her island with a colleague, Dr. Ryan Gott, who is an entomologist. And Patrick and I, might know a lot about marine animals, but we know absolutely nothing when it comes to bugs. So inviting these guests on to talk about the other natural history elements in the game has had a lot of success. And people are so curious about the things that they see in this game, and they want to know, oh, did Animal Crossing get this right? Like, what would you do instead? Like, do you have a favorite part of the island? Do you have any weird stories about these animals? And they always do. They always have wonderfully weird stories about the animals and other things in the game. And it's been wonderful having them on. We've had these amazing women scientists from Black AF and STEM come and join us in the game, and we've talked about birds with them and birding and herpetology and some of the wonderful turtles that we find here on Animal Crossing. And it's been a delight to have so many just enthusiastic and intelligent guests to join us on the stream. And I think Patrick and I get just as excited to talk to them and have our questions answered by these experts as our audience does. So it's been a wonderful success. The first time that we had Emily on, we had close to 2,000 people watching live with us over on Twitch, which was phenomenal. The replay videos on both platforms have gotten thousands of views. On YouTube alone, it's over 14,000 views to watch the replay of Animal Crossing with Emily. And from a stream that at the beginning of quarantine, we only had 143 followers on Twitch, and now we have close to 10,000 followers.
Wow.
And almost 300 subscribers to our channel, helping to support the aquarium monetarily. It's been an incredible journey just over 6 months to see that kind of growth.
And how great to be able to do it during lockdown as well, when nobody can get to zoos and aquariums. It's fantastic, isn't it, really, to be able to engage people, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And can you tell us a little bit more about your, just on metrics and results, and also some more around how Monterey Bay benefits from what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, those metrics, I'm a big nerd when it comes to Excel sheet. I'm a big nerd in general.
I love Excel.
Just throwing it back to reminder, I'm still a big nerd, and that translates to absolutely loving Excel sheets and documents and tracking our metrics. So that's part of my job at the aquarium as well. It's not just playing video games.
Excel's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's a delightful tool for us to use. But this is one of my many spreadsheets here, just filled with numbers, and it fills me with joy. So I get to track our metrics across our social media platforms for the aquarium. And some of the time, depending on the platform you're on, you're only given specific metrics from those platforms. So we try and track kind of the most important numbers to us. One of the things that we can't track quantitatively on here is the kinds of comments coming through. That's just something that we have to look and see for ourselves. And oftentimes, if there are very positive comments or very negative comments, we screen grab those and we put them in a document, make sure that we're keeping track of those as well. But number wise, this is my heaven over here, and I'm sure this is overwhelming for some people to look at, but to me it makes sense. But just overall on Twitch, again, I started a new tracking little pod here at the bottom of our Excel document. from the time that the aquarium closed on March 13th to now. So Twitch, when we closed the aquarium March 13th, our followership was 124 on Twitch. And today it is grown by over almost 9,000. It's grown by 8,716. So 2,300% increase in followership over on Twitch, which is a number that I definitely like to show off to the bosses and everything. But this is, an incredible platform that actually gives you a lot of detail when it comes to metrics. And I'll pull up one of the metrics tools that they have on here for us to kind of gauge where we are on the platform. Saying hello to the sea otters again. Hello. we've got Abby, Selka, and Rosa on exhibit today. So Rosa's the blonde one. She's the easiest one to spot. Someone over there on the right side. Of course, always have to throw in more cute otters anytime before I start talking about numbers too much again. But in here, this is one of the tools that they have for us to kind of measure where we are with our Twitch channel. We can look at it from month to month, week to week, day to day. But it's really interesting when it gets down into the revenue, because Twitch can be used as a revenue generating tool. You have to meet certain expectations that Twitch has for a channel in order to become an affiliate and eventually a partner on Twitch. We are at the affiliate level right now. We have met all the requirements to be a partner, except for the fact that there are streams that we do on Twitch that aren't exclusive to Twitch, and they do have an exclusivity clause. So that's the only thing that we don't meet for Twitch partnership. But as an affiliate, that means that we can generate money for the aquarium in the form of donations. There are people who will subscribe to our channel at different levels. So there is a $4.99 subscription, a $9.99 subscription, and a $24.99 subscription. All of those levels set by Twitch itself. But we are in charge of coming up with the benefits for those three different tiers that people get by subscribing to our channel. And people can also subscribe to your channel for absolutely free. Twitch is a platform that is owned by Amazon. For those of you unfamiliar with Twitch, it is an Amazon subsidiary. So if you have a Amazon Prime subscription, which most of us do, we like that 2-day free shipping that comes along with being part of that Amazon Prime membership there. But if you have an Amazon Prime membership, you can use that to subscribe to one channel for free every month on Twitch. And so there are a lot of followers who will use that free subscription, and while it's not benefiting Twitch or Amazon at all, we still get the same share that we would get from a subscription as if it was an actual paid subscription. So about a third of our subscriptions on our Twitch channel actually come from those free subscriptions, where our followers aren't paying anything, but we are actually making money from it, which is wonderful. And this is all something that, when in the before times, many years ago, before quarantine started, we were fortunate enough on the social media team that there were only certain times of the year where fundraising would really be front of mind for us. Anytime we would have a campaign running, our development team had something going on, and, we would do our best to raise money for the aquarium on our social media channels. But since quarantine has started, fundraising, of course, has become front of mind for all of us at the aquarium. And being able to have a social media channel that we are creating content for that just inherently helps to generate that revenue for us has been such a blessing. You know, we're making anywhere between about $600 to $1,000 a month from those subscriptions on Twitch, which doesn't sound like a lot, you know, especially when we're trying to raise millions of dollars, but it's $1,000 a month that we weren't bringing in before, and every little bit helps. And every little bit means that, you know, that's, you know, dinner for a sea otter again tonight. That's, you know, another colleague whose job has been saved. It's so important for us now to do whatever we can. Along with that, we just recently became partnered with a platform called Tiltify, and Tiltify is a fundraising platform that uses other streamers online and other people online to help fundraise for you. So we have been very, very fortunate to work with other streamers on Twitch as well. There's a large Twitch channel called Games Done Quick, who do speed runs through video games, and we partnered with them for a week, and we called it Ocean Week, and they played only video games that had to do with the ocean on their channel, and had our scientists and Patrick and I come in and talk about the ocean, while much more professional gamers played the video games rather than us just kind of blundering around on our Animal Crossing island. But one of the tools that they use is Tiltify, and so they can use our Tiltify page on their streams to raise money for us. So it's a tool that we can use and integrate natively into our Twitch page to help fundraise for ourselves, but it's also a tool where other people who want to support the aquarium, and they might be a streamer, they might just be someone on TikTok who wants to help fundraise for you, but they can use Tiltify, and their followers know that all of that money is going directly to the aquarium. It's a very trusted platform across different social media channels as far as fundraising goes. So we just partnered with them to help fundraise for the aquarium as well, and that integrates natively now into our Twitch channel.
That's a really good tip, actually, isn't it? So should anybody who's watching who's got an Amazon Prime account then could go on and donate to you then?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. If you have an Amazon Prime account, please feel free to subscribe to the aquarium's Twitch channel for free.
Okay,
That would be wonderful.
Very interesting. I shall make sure I do that. That's great. But so that's fantastic, obviously, in terms of revenue. But in terms of just engaging people with your submission, I guess there's other benefits apart from just money in doing this, aren't there?
Absolutely. You know, I'll stop sharing the screen here for a second, but this audience that we have on Twitch is a generation of young adults that have been handed a world that is on fire, to be quite frank. And our channel has become a place where we have this community of people who are there to help show them that there is still hope. Part of, you know, my job at the aquarium is not just science communication and being goofy and punny and you know, telling stories about the aquarium, but our main job at the aquarium is to inspire conservation. And right now you have the most engaged and most knowledgeable generation out there. They have access to so much information across the internet. You know, I consider myself a child of the internet because I grew up in the 90s and had access to, you know, some information, but I still use that physical encyclopedia and stuff to look things up. But kids nowadays, they have a question, they can Google it and get an answer immediately. But that also comes with a lot of responsibility. And at the aquarium, it's our responsibility to make sure that when a young adult has a question about climate change, about, you know, ocean acidification, and, you know, global, changes that are happening in front of their very eyes, that it doesn't become an overwhelming topic or a topic of doom. These are young adults that are coming to our channel and having a good time, and are so engaged because we are being humans on the internet along with them, that because of that, and because the aquarium trusts us to have that very welcoming and open and empathetic voice for the ocean on the internet, that these young adults are coming to our channel for the video games, for Animal Crossing, for the sea otter cams, but they are staying because they know that this is a community where they can come and have those big questions answered. And that when they are overwhelmed with what's going on in the world right now, that this is a safe place where they can come to and be filled with hope and inspiration. And hopefully, if Patrick and I are doing our jobs right, we're culturing the next generation of young scientists and young minds that are going to change the world. I used to be a teacher, and I used to travel all across the state of Arizona teaching K through 12 science, and it was my job to inspire those young kids in person. But even then, I would reach, a few thousand students a year. As part of the social media team at the aquarium, I have been gifted this immense and incredible opportunity to now be a teacher for our 3.5 million followers per year. You think of that one video that we did with Emily Grassley, that's 2 hours long, has reached over 25,000 different people. And that's 25,000 different people now who might be interested in fossils, who might go out and decide that no matter what age they are, I'm going to learn more about this now. And if I have a question, I know that I can come back to the aquarium's channels and get that question answered. So it's a big responsibility to be that voice online for the aquarium. Oftentimes it can be very overwhelming to be that voice for the aquarium online. But besides the fact that this is helping the aquarium generate revenue, which of course is important, and it's generating the love and attachment to the aquarium that some people have for brands. People are, I only buy Apple products, I only buy Nike products, I only, because they have an attachment to that brand. We also have that attachment now for people who visit the aquarium's channels who might live halfway around the world and say, one day I'm going to go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium and see Rosa, the sea otter, in real life, or see that weird nudibranch that Emily and Patrick nerded out about for a half an hour in real life, that I found on my Animal Crossing island, and I know that they have it at the aquarium. I'm going to see it one day. And that's, it's directly helping the aquarium. But again, with that mission to inspire conservation of the ocean, it's really that responsibility of ours to make sure that we are a voice for the ocean when the ocean can't have a voice for itself.
That's fantastic, isn't it? And I think it's very interesting. It's happening in lockdown. So you've got the physical aquarium, but now you've got this kind of growing online aquarium as well, isn't it? With your voice, like you say. And how are you thinking of developing this in the future? Have you got plans for it?
We do. There is a bit of a sneak peek of some of those plans. I'll share my screen again as soon as I pull it up here. But it started with Animal Crossing, and we've now been fortunate enough to be able to branch out a little bit. Like I said, there are a lot of video games out there that represent the ocean in them, and we want to talk about all of them eventually. So we have started playing Abzu with our audience. Abzu is a gorgeous video game. I hear a bit of recognition in your voice. Woo!
I do, yes. I've played Abzu as well. I keep going
Abzu's
around in circles though. I keep like flipping around in it. I'm not very good at it.
we love Abzu,
Beautiful. It's
and
a beautiful game,
it's
isn't it?
such a beautiful game. We've actually, the very first stream of Abzu that we did, the developers actually tuned in and they were watching and in the comment section with us saying like, nobody else ever picks up on that detail. I'm so glad that you did. I'm so glad that I included it. So we're hopefully going to have the Abzu developers on with us sometime while we're playing the game. But it is an absolutely gorgeous game, and there are so many really, really cool details that they've hidden in here. Like the squid that just swam across the screen there, that is a Humboldt squid, a squid that we find right here in the Monterey Bay. And you can see that flashing pattern that they're doing there with the red and the white. That's something that they actually do in the wild. We have footage from our colleagues over at the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute that have video of Humboldt squid doing that exact thing that we're watching in the video game right now. So it's so much fun to be in a new video game and talking about some of the ocean details that are hidden in there with our audience. And so we've started streaming that. We're hopefully going to have the Abzu developers on sometime to play through the game with us. It's one of those games that's supposed to only take like a couple of hours to finish. And I think this is our 4th stream with it, which means that we've been playing it for 8 hours and we're only about halfway through the game right now. So sometimes we get people who come to our streams going like, well, why aren't you playing? And just hovering there in the water. And it's because I want to tell you about that Humboldt squid display that you just saw there. And so this one has been a lot of fun to dive into, pun absolutely intended there. We've also been streaming, and this one's a little bit more of a stretch, but it's a game called Octodad. This one is the second in the series, Octodad, Deadliest catch. Of course, with a pun in the name like that, how could we not play it? But this is a series where you are an octopus doing your best at pretending to be a real human father. So you have different tasks that you need to do. Here we are in the game, flopping around, but trying to get up those steps because our child is at the top of this little bouncy castle in the game here. It's one of those games that has been unexpectedly educational. um, you know what you're watching on screen right now is just a lot of chaos and a lot of laughing on our parts of trying to figure out how to control Octodad here and just walk around. But you know, they do have parts of the video game where right before this you're in a room and it talks about the kelp's reproductive cycle, which for a really goofy game you wouldn't expect to be learning things about how kelp reproduces. So it's been a lot of fun to have a game that normally people wouldn't think of as an educational video game, you know, between the little elements that the game developers have hidden inside of it, and then, you know, us just being our goofy selves. All of a sudden people are learning about sporophytes and gametophytes and you know, things that you normally, words that you wouldn't normally think of when you're talking about a video game there. So
That's
this
really
one has
fun,
been a
isn't
lot
it?
of fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have about 30 games on a list that eventually we are hoping to play on our Twitch channel. Um, and so that's definitely something that's in the works there, along with working with even more scientists and having them come on as guests on these streams. We're very fortunate at the aquarium to have a lot of experts that work with our animals, and so inviting some of our own experts on to talk about cephalopods with us here in Octodad or Splatoon or one of the many games that feature cephalopods in it. We we are really looking forward to kind of expanding our repertoire there. And I guess part of my job now is convincing my bosses that, you know, this game, it's going to cost us $15, but you know, Twitch is going to make that back for us when we play. I promise, it's going to be okay.
That's a pretty fun job that you've made for yourself, I think there.
It really, if you had, you know, asked 8-year-old Emily, you know, what I would be doing in the future, playing video games and talking about cephalopods would not be on the list of even in her wildest dreams of things that I would get to do. So I feel very fortunate to have this job.
And I just wanted to finally just talk to you about if you got any tips for anybody else who's sort of thinking about doing this, just, you know, what you can advise people to do actually and how to go about it.
Yeah, I think the number one tip that I have for people, and whether you are part of a social media team watching this right now, or if you are a manager of those people, director, even chief marketing officer, give your social media team the trust and the space that they need to be creative, and don't be afraid of that creativity. When this idea first came about, you know, even before quarantine, we brought it up casually and kind of got mixed feelings about it at the aquarium. But quarantine has definitely changed us all, and we brought this to our director and to our chief marketing officer. And while the two of them, you know, they were like, well, I don't get it, but I know that you and Patrick are going to make something awesome, and I trust you to do something awesome with this. Go ahead, have that freedom, try it out, let's see how it goes. They watched the very first stream that they did with us, and one thing that stuck in my mind was before we streamed, our chief marketing officer came to us and was just like, do people really, you know, sit and watch other people play video games for 2 hours? Like, I just don't get it. Like, that's not something that I would do. And then she and our director watched that very first stream with us, and we got messages from them immediately saying, like, when's the next one? Oh my gosh, I can't wait to watch. This is so amazing. Like, is this what it's like? like I didn't need to get addicted to something else. And so it's definitely something that, even if you're trepidatious about something that your content team has come to you with, put that trust in them. If they're excited about something, chances are they're going to make it awesome. It's definitely something that Patrick and I have learned over and over the years that we've been with the social media team, is that we are just so fortunate to have an incredible manager in Anne-Marie, a director in Dana, and an incredible chief marketing officer in Mimi Han. And the three of them combined are just this powerhouse of just trust and go get them. And they've let us try things online that most brands would absolutely back away from and just kind of shut the doors and, oh, I don't know about that. But because Patrick and I, you know, in our own time, are not just creating content for the aquarium professionally, but we ourselves are the audience that we are trying to reach on these platforms. You know, in my own time, I am on Twitch, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, and I am consuming content as just a human out there in the world, just like you are. There's a very big chance that you are on those social channels, and the things that we see and we like and we get excited about, and we come to you with those ideas of, well, what if we tried playing video games, but we put an aquarium twist on it? Because we know these platforms, and we know what they're like, and because we have a background in marine sciences, And we have a background in working at the aquarium and knowing the aquarium inside and out and knowing the aquarium's voice inside and out. That has really led to the success of these programs, is being given that trust that when we get excited about something, that we're going to make it happen. And the first couple of tries might not be smooth and perfect. Goodness knows we're 30 games into it and we're still finding hiccups. We'll do these live streams and there's always one bit of tech that will go wrong and they don't look perfectly polished. And honestly, that's okay. That it's okay to be a human on the internet, because you watch other people on the internet and they're not perfect either. And that's where you find the humanity in the different things that you do online. And especially right now when we find ourselves in such challenging times, and life isn't the same right now, and it won't be the same for a while. We aren't going to be able to hop back into the aquarium and do our old style of live streams that were very successful the way that we used to for years, probably. And so it's okay to try new things, I think, is just the number one tip that I have. It's okay to try new things. It's okay to put that trust in the people that you have hired. There's a very good chance that you have hired or are a really, really passionate, enthusiastic person in this job. And don't lose that passion, don't lose that enthusiasm, really foster it, really culture it, and you're going to benefit from it.
That's fantastic, Emily. And I think you're right. And also it's you having the knowledge as well, isn't it? And the authenticity to speak with the aquarium's voice, isn't it? That makes it so successful, I think.
Yeah, on the back end of it, Patrick and I, Patrick's been at the aquarium for 10 years. I've been at the aquarium for almost 8 years. And we didn't start out in this job. We started out working in guest experience. And so we're very familiar with working with people face to face. We were program presenters, both of us, for a very long time. So we're both very comfortable and familiar with talking, as you can tell as I blather on here. But we also both come from very diverse backgrounds. Myself, I grew up in Arizona, where there isn't a lot of ocean, but I somehow became quite the ocean nerd living in Arizona. Eventually going on to get a degree in ecology and evolutionary biology, a minor in chemistry, and I taught. I was a teaching assistant at the University of Arizona, helping to teach the marine biology class to college kids for many, many years, and had these wonderful experiences actually being a research scientist. And so, that's a background that I can bring into science communication now, because I found that whenever I tried to tell my family, who are very much non-scientists, about anything that I was working on, it was like I was speaking a foreign language to them. So having that mental shift and seeing how important science communication is, and then being able to bring that into the job here has been so important. Patrick has a background in marine biology. He grew up in France and Sweden, and coming here and not only having to adjust to a new culture, but a new language, and having to kind of, make his own way in the scientific world, being a big scuba diver. And he's bringing all of that knowledge into our streams as well. It's this background in being familiar with the aquarium,
Yep.
and being familiar in science and in the world that we are trying to explain, that it makes us very successful. And Rachel as well. She's fairly new to our team and we absolutely adore her. She's not new to the aquarium though. She kind of comes from the same world that Patrick and I are from that guest experience world. And so the three of us together, we know how to answer questions. We know how to de-escalate trolls online, because we've de-escalated in real life trolls on the floor of the aquarium who come in and might not have had the best experience at the aquarium. We want to make sure that let's fix this. And so we know how to change that from being on the floor to, oh, this is the same thing, the same scenario. It just happens to be online now. So it's definitely worth having those kinds of experts being your
Yeah.
online voices. Yeah.
That's fantastic, Emma. That's been so interesting. Thank you very, very much for your time.